You're at the High Country Salmon Floating Cafe, looking out over the High Country Salmon farm. We're producing 200 tonnes of salmon each year in the man-made glacial fed canal system through Mackenzie country. So pretty unique operation, pretty unique place to grow fish at the end of the day. There wouldn't be anywhere else in the world where you would grow fish in cool glacial mountain water. So we're monitored by our biomass on farm. So we're controlled by council and ECAN in terms of how much fish we're allowed on farm at any one point in time, and that's balanced with the other farming activities within the region as well, and land use activities. And that's all around nitrogen discharge. So salmon farming is a little bit unique in terms of exactly know the environmental impact of salmon farming. So we know through feeding 200 tonnes of fish what the nutrient impact is going to be within the water, and the councils have then determined that the waterways can take this much impact, and we can farm to that particular level. Now we're monitored every 6 months, so there's water testing above and below the salmon farm. You can't actually see a difference in the chemical nature of the water, so you can't see an increase in nitrates, you can't see an increase in phosphates. That's how low impact this farming operation is, and one of the reasons for that is because we're so small and there's not a lot of land use activity within this region as well. People get a little bit confused when they think about salmon farming. They think overseas salmon farming is the same as New Zealand salmon farming. What they don't understand is a completely different species. So we grow Chinook or king salmon. We call our particular salmon glacial mountain salmon, just to identify with its unique qualities. Overseas, the salmon that's grown is actually Atlantic salmon. That's your industrially farmed grown salmon species, so they can grow up to 30 kilos per cubic metre, so it's a lot of fish in quite a confined space, whereas New Zealand grows to a maximum of 10 kilos per cubic metre, so the fish have freedom to move, and consequently that environmental impact is a lot less as well. We're really lucky in that we really don't have any diseases like they do overseas, so we don't have to treat with any chemicals to control sea lice. We don't have to use anti-fouling on the nets. And those two things, that overseas chemical use to control things like sea lice or algal growth on the nets that we don't do in New Zealand, they're the reason for its quite harsh environmental impact. So in terms of sustainability, all the salmon farms in New Zealand, if you took away that salmon farm from that spot, you wouldn't notice it's been there after a year's time. It's that low impact. Our harvest is 364 days a year. We harvest fresh each day. We harvest to order as well. And so generally we would go through and we'd do a particular harvest on a day. Those fish would be processed that day and either dispatched that day or the following day. So super fresh salmon out to our customers. We actually plan our harvests per month. We know how many fish are coming through, so we can have an even amount of biomass going through the year. So that adds to the sustainability. We don't have these big lumps of biomass coming through our farming systems. In terms of the fish itself, Chinook or king salmon, they really respond to their environment where they're grown, and so you'll find different farms having different culinary qualities. For our salmon here, we're grown in the cool glacial water. We're just off the canal edge, so our salmon are relatively well exercised but still have quite nice fatty layers within the fish and marbling, which gives them a great texture for eating raw or even any type of cooking really. So we're off the Wairepo Reach, and so the Wairepo Reach is a man-made water body that was actually used, it was actually dug out to make the canal walls around the canal system here in Mackenzie, and all the water coming through the system is being collected from Aoraki Mount Cook, coming through the canals, the Ben Ohau Range as well, and then it feeds into this system here just before going through into the Benmore Power Station, which actually anchors the power grid for most of New Zealand. So we're operating within the man-made system, and at the moment we're on a floating cafe. So yeah, pretty unique. You wouldn't get this anywhere else in the world. It is a bit of a one-off, that's for sure.